true to what you said on paper.
I wish that I could freely dream and be judged from within, hunted by a power that cannot see past my skin. My views are viewed as ignorant, my truth always denied. My history is shrouded in a spider web of lies. Isn't this America? Or is this America all a lie?
Of the freedom of speech, somewhere I read. Of the freedom of press, somewhere I read that the greatness of America is the right to protest far right.
How can I pledge allegiance to a country built on lies, or raise my children to believe they're equal in its eyes? My leaders are assassinated for speaking their mind. So justice never tilts my way. I thought that she was blind. Isn't this America? Or is this America all a lie?
Well, I don't know what will happen now. We've got some difficult days ahead. But it really doesn't matter with me now, because I've been to the mountaintop.
I am Denise Tapina-Reed, co-host of At the Round Table with MAMLEO, a Massachusetts Association Minority Law Enforcement Officers Incorporated broadcast, and we greatly appreciate our sponsors. John B. Cruz Construction Company, 1 John Elliott Square, Roxbury, Massachusetts, third generation, family owned, founded in...
This is the time when we open up the doors to you and we let them in. When you're up, let them in. When you're down, let them in. When you're bound, let them in. Let them in.
You say to America is be true to what you said on paper.
I wish that I could freely dream and be judged from within, hunted by a power that cannot see past.
Well, good morning. Welcome to At the Round Table with MAMLEO. I'm your host, Larry Ellison, in studio with my brother, I'm not even going to say from another, my brother, Dr. Bradley, man. I love this guy.
I hear you. I love you too, man.
You know, I'm telling you, man, all the time. You know, I tell people, your family is not always identified by your bloodline.
No, it's not.
You have to make your family.
You got that right.
And I tell
your
you,
skin folks, all your skin folks, not necessarily your kin folks.
who you telling? Even if they got the same tan line.
No, I'm telling you.
So good morning, Dr. Bradley. And let me also say thank you. I know it's Memorial Day weekend. We're honoring our service, and I know you have provided a service to this country in more than one way.
Yes.
But you're in the military, you know, so I want to say thank you to all.
When I was young and stupid, but yeah.
I wouldn't say stupid. No. Look, listen, you and that's the, you fought for this country admirably.
Yep.
So you should be honored for it. Sadly, that when we tell the history, and this is why folks don't want the history to be told, that even people that look like you and others were not treated equally for fighting for this country.
Not while we were actually in it, or when we came out of it.
Well, both, even to this day, right?
Yeah.
We're not so. Yes, we are in studio. We are live Memorial Day weekend here. Yes, that dedication. We're in here. The calling number here is 617-282-0685. 617-282-0685. And good morning, Pastor Hobb.
And good morning, Pastor Hobb.
Right on cue. Yes, we are live. It is not Memorial Day weekend. We are live in studio. A little delayed here this morning. Man.
It was a traffic, man.
Traffic. I'm telling you, I said, Dr. Brad, I usually fly in, and it's construction. I told you, I'm sitting in the same traffic you are. Normally, I'm here by 6:40 or earlier. So, folks, yes, we are live. That was a pre-recorded for about a minute or two. But we are live in studio. Good morning. You are listening to At the Round Table with MAMLEO. I'm your host, Larry Ellison, in studio with my brother from another, Dr. Bradley.
I think I'm on. Am I on?
Yeah, I'm there now. Yeah, it's nice to be here, man. It's a day that God made. I'm happy that He allowed me to be here.
Yes, yes, sir. That is so true. So Ken, we want to thank our sponsor, Guaranteed Rate Mortgage Company. For all your mortgage needs, give branch manager Cora Holbrook a call at area code 781-342-0252. Guaranteed Mortgage is located at 75 Sage Street in downtown Boston, Mass. Guaranteed Rate Mortgage Company, guaranteed to exceed your expectations. I want to say good morning to Brother Cliff. Thank you for calling in last weekend. Also, good morning, sir. Good morning, Pastor Dan. I know he's usually out there listening to Pastor Dan, who's heard every Wednesday morning from 8 to 9 here on the Boston Praise Radio. Sound travels, and more importantly, Mom's Corner.
In fact, I think I'm going to tune in next week.
Yeah, it's very good.
I was telling myself I'm going to tune into his show, but I always tend to forget. But I teach on Mondays, on Wednesdays, so it's kind of hard to kind of get the class prep and get to the show. But I think I'm going to be able to do it next week.
Yeah, so it's a good show. Good show. They have some good shows, and we're talking about hopefully trying to expand the broadcast here. I was just talking to Pastor Hobbs on the way in. Boston really needs Dr. Bradley. They need a weekly, drive time radio.
Absolutely.
So. I think maybe that may be happening. So, like I said, stay tuned, folks. Hopefully,
and that's going to be in terms of MAMLEO doing the roundtable on during those hours, or we're going to be broadcasting over and over.
No. This is going to be a live broadcast. Hopefully from 6 to 9, 6 to 9, 6 a.m. to 9. Yeah, and
That's not a bad idea, man.
No, it isn't. It is not. I said good morning to Brother Harry Scales and Mrs. Scales. Harry, like I say, you tiptoeing. I saw that brother the other day. It was so good to see him, man. And he was coming across Blue Hill Avenue there, and I was like, that looks like Harry. Sure enough, it was Brother Harry Scales there.
Good morning to my brother.
Oh yes,
my brother from long years ago.
Absolutely. And you
going back? You gonna go all the way back? You're gonna be remiss if we don't go back, huh?
Indiana, here we are.
Hey, my brother William Bridgeforth. Good morning to you, brother.
Good morning, sir. It's always good, man. It's cold here, so I know it's probably a little nippy down that way.
It's probably freezing over there, man.
This is that time of the year, when you get that little chill spell there. So
yes.
It's good morning, Brother Rhodes Pierre, as well. I know that brother's listening. Text me. I apologize. I didn't get back to him, man. It's been a crazy day. Pastor Oz, I was talking about, they had a homicide at yesterday afternoon around 2:30, 2 o'clock actually, and when you have a shooting in the middle of the day, you have school, so it's very involved and traumatic to folks, and this is why we really need to get a handle on what's been going on here in the city. People feel, we have a little, respite, and we kind of get false sense of security, and the problem is real. And it continues to go on, So also, a reminder that New Bethel Baptist, talking about Pastor Dan, New Bethel Baptist Church will be holding their women's only conference, Theme Building Your House, on Saturday, 10 a.m. to noon. The dates, October 27th, 28th, and 29th, and that will be held at 11 Beach Street in Framingham, Mass. 01702. That's 01702. For more information, contact the First Lady, Vernice Jones, at 617-275-9501. Again, that's First Lady Vernice Jones at 617-275-9501. And again, that's the New Bethel Baptist Church Women's Only Conference, folks. Women's Only Conference. It's going to be taking place at 11 B Street, Framingham, Mass, October 27th, 28th, and 29th. Also, Pathways to Reentry Conference is going to be held, save the date, October 28th. Oh, got competing issues that weekend at Northeastern University from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Curry Student Center at 360 Huntington Ave. That's the Pathways to Reentry Conference. Save the date, October 28th, 2023, from 9 to 2 p.m. Northeastern University Curry Student Center, 360 Huntington Ave.
That is a busy day for me, man.
It's a busy weekend. It is a busy weekend. Wow. And so I say in our 8 o'clock hour, City Councilor at Large, Judy Mahee, is going to be calling in, and she's going to be taking your questions. So if you have any, get them lined up. If you want to send them in, if you can't stay with us at the 8 o'clock hour, she's going to be talking about what's going on. I was telling Pastor Hobbs, I had a call from one of the clergy here, was very disturbed that there is a video out, and he says a very high quality video, a rap basically, and including what's going on. It's about a 5-minute video, so I have to try to locate it. Maybe Pastor Hobbs while he's over there and on his computer there, highlighting what's going on down there at Mass and Cath. It's not very flattering, he said, but people are using it to promote their art.
Can we pray?
Yes, we can.
Father God, we bless you. We give you praise for this day that you made, and we choose to rejoice and be glad in it. We're grateful for the privilege to be on the airways. We ask you just to bless the broadcast, bless our city, bless our nation, bless our world, God. We need you like never before. So we call upon you. You said before we call, you'll answer. While we're yet speaking, you will hear us. So we trust you to keep us and to do what only you're able to do. Peace. In Jesus' name.
Amen.
So I wanted to, we were talking about praying and the WBZ Channel 4's I-Team and Pastor Wall. Thank you for sending this, because it really needs to be discussed. And it's talking about I-Team, black neighborhoods in Boston losing churches at a troubling rate. So I was going to send it to Pastor Hobb, but I think I should be able to.
Interesting comment. Interesting title.
Some Boston residents are on a crusade to save the city's religious heritage.
Yeah, WBZ spent months stalking with church members and really digging into documents showing a troubling pattern. Churches closing at a concerning rate. The I-Team's Christina Hager shows us how it's changing the face of a neighborhood.
On Blue Hill Avenue, behind crumbling bricks and graffiti,
we're on what should be black-owned Blue Hill Avenue.
A fight to save religion, as people here know it. Pamela King, locked out of the church she's been trying to revive.
Because they want to put luxury condos here and move the people out of the community.
What would that do to you?
And what it would do to me, it would break my heart. He never sat down with us.
Her group approached the WBZ I-Team about their struggles to save the Spirit and Truth Baptist Church, formerly New Fellowship, in this building along with the historic Franklin Theater.
We're talking about the one thing that we are not going to give up. We're not going to give up our relationship with God.
It's just devastating. An arson here 14 years ago ignited a battle between the church board and lead pastor over who legally owns it. Code violations went ignored. A judge appointed a receiver. So King and other church members pinned their prayers on this offer to rescue it for $1.7 million.
To buy this church, to renovate the buildings.
Instead, the I-Team has learned the Harvard Street Neighborhood Health Center is buying the property to build affordable housing. Not the luxury condos King had feared, but not a church either.
We all should be back in our church.
Less than a mile down Blue Hill Avenue, a similar battle over the neglected Mount Calvary Church.
My kids were all christened here. I got married here.
Rosalind Warnham fought to get it designated a Boston landmark. It, too, went into receivership, and litigation is ongoing to determine which entity owns the property.
A lot of division.
Warnham's local church board versus the national organization trying to assume ownership and possibly sell. The North Carolina-based Mount Calvary Holy Church of America sent the I-Team a statement saying our future plans regarding the sanctuary have yet to be determined.
It breaks our heart to drive by and see this, to not be in our church the way we were.
The I-Team dug up dozens of church building violations in Boston's predominantly black neighborhoods over the last 10 years. Rear of building is open to the elements, soffit blown off. Front stairs have deteriorated.
There's a huge loss every time we lose a church.
Berkeley College of Music's Dr. Emmett Price says when churches close, their neighborhoods lose more than a house of prayer.
They run summer programs. They have tutoring programs.
Advocacy in terms of local voting, in terms of health care.
That's a powerful word, church.
Pastor Joe Swilley with yet another crusade to save a Blue Hill Avenue church. It's starting to sound all too familiar. Half of the Bethlehem Healing Temple was demolished. On the other side, an entrance collapsed under a hollow sidewalk.
If someone came by and offered you a lot of money, would you consider selling this property?
No, we're not going to sell. We're going to tear down and rebuild.
And so now you have churches losing their buildings because they can no longer afford to keep up with the rate of inflation as well as the economic driver there. It's a huge loss.
A loss in a changing neighborhood that some say needs a miracle.
We dug into the Secretary of State's records and found there is no hard data on how many churches have closed under similar circumstances.
But church leaders say the anecdotal evidence is overwhelming, and they hope politicians hear their cry to preserve Boston's religious heritage. For the I-Team, Christina Hager, WBZ News.
Well, I got inspired. You were doing your talk last week at your church, and just how churches are disappearing. Here and around the Commonwealth, particularly in the black neighborhoods. You see a lot of mom and pop small stores. Then you see the mega churches, who are they are able to sustain. But
as you were playing that piece, I'm saying to myself, churches are not immune to gentrification.
No, they're not.
That is one piece of it. That is real, and in many respects, it's easier because it's kind of hard to identify the owner.
Right.
And people are allowing the church to deteriorate, and then the folks of ill intent begin to use that deterioration as a justification to take over the building.
Right.
And then next thing you know, you do have high rise and you do have very expensive apartments. But this is a part of the whole gentrification process. With that said, I do concur with the professor that when you lose church, you lose a very significant component of the community.
Yeah.
If you think about one of the social movements that we had in civil rights movement, it originated in the church.
And it absolutely, and in some instances it still does. Just think about it, right? We are broadcasting this broadcast
in a church,
right? In the basement of the church, right? And it started in the church to keep our voice alive, right? So
a lot of the movements, a lot of the social movements to bring America truly under the umbrella of a multicultural democracy, which is still not that, and we'll talk about that later. But a lot of those movements start, not the moment, but the movement starts in the church.
Yeah. Well, one of the questions we're going to pose to our City Councilor Lodge Julia Mejia, who is tasked with being in that Lodge Councilor, has the whole city as part of her establishment, as part of her constituency, I should say. And what, if anything, that the city is doing to address this amongst the other things. And like I said, this doesn't get the attention. I was glad to see Dr. Price there, because Emmett Price, when he first came here from California several years ago, he has really been a voice of reason and also a truth teller. I love that brother. I definitely have to reach out to him soon. But it was interesting as well when they approached one of the developers who had purchased the building. He said the fate has not been determined yet. It's been determined. It hasn't been announced.
That's exactly. It was determined long before he purchased
when he
it.
sold it, right?
Yeah,
you don't invest that kind of money, doctor, and not know what you're going to do with it, right?
He knows exactly what he's going to do.
Because if you said if it was going to remain a sanctuary, he would have said that. But clearly, there is money.
It's money. He spent money to make money. Trust me.
Absolutely.
And
you when you said the building's falling apart, you don't fault investors. For full disclosure, I'm an investor. If I see a good deal, I'm going to try to take advantage of that.
Yeah.
But that also, because I know we've got some calls there, but Pastor Hobbs, you are someone who was in church, Dr. Bradley, and you're here in a church in a community, a historic church that has, luckily because of his history, been able to get some help for some of the repairs on the church. I'm seeing the work being done as you come in here. The entrance here, it looks very nice. Have you seen a decline in the attendance? I already know the answer. Just looking at his eyes. Have you seen a decline in the attendance in the church here?
Oh, absolutely.
And on percentages, what would you say on an average Sunday of the space? What percentages full?
Maybe 20, if that.
20%.
Yeah.
In the older population, or
it's majority older, yes, but there is some young.
20%, and so 80% of the church is vacant.
Yeah, that's about consistent with my church. Now, when I did my sermon last Sunday, did you see that?
Unfortunately, I did not.
When I did my sermon last Sunday, believe it or not, although a lot of folks tune in on Zoom, there was about 10 people in the audience.
In the same 10?
About 10 people.
Wow.
In the audience. And I looked out over there. One of them was my bride.
Okay.
And so, and being from a baby boomers generation when church was really heavily attended, it saddens me. But on the other side of that, you have to also think, who else is tuning in that I can't see through Zoom,
like
through,
I was on there,
Facebook, and all those things.
But the Zoom people usually are not, because the church also needs the offerings to keep it going.
That's where I'm going.
Okay.
The Zoom people usually do not make that contribution.
Right. So the 10 people that are in there, and what's the capacity you think that your church could hold?
About 50 people.
50 people.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's not even a fraction of what it could hold. Mm-hmm. So it's fair to say that 10 people cannot keep the lights on.
No, they can't. But we do a very good job. Okay. God has been very good to us. Okay. A lot of the members who are active members are doing very well financially. They don't have your kind of money, but they're doing.
So somebody else coming through.
But they're doing well financially. So when we do a lot in giving to the community. So we don't necessarily. We have a whole component of our budget that we dedicate to actually helping the community and helping other churches who are struggling, by the way.
Well, let's hear from our callers. Good morning.
Yes, you have Jamal.
Jamal
first, and then you have.
Good morning, Brother Jamal. Hold on. Let me get him in there. Brother Jamal, good morning, sir.
Yeah, can y'all hear me?
We can hear you. You're up early.
Okay. Yeah, peace. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Every morning. That's how I catch the worm.
All right.
Now, from what I have studied and ascertained, any kind of membership decline, at least at Global Ministries Christian Church, I've correlated it directly to Pastor Bruce Wall singing.
You know he listens to this show, right?
Hey, look, and Hobbs, you better not laugh too hard. Listen,
he took the camera off of him.
Hey, but seriously, folks, look, all y'all, you like Friendlies, the restaurant Friendlies?
I used to. Was never a big fan, but I think I know where you're going with this. It's just like if you use Brigham's, it was probably more I would go to Brigham's.
Okay, there you go.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, so, and the point is, things that we like, things that we had nostalgia for, why ain't they there no more? Because people ain't going. Okay, and that's the bottom line.
Yeah.
So now the black church has to face the reality that every quote unquote, let's keep it funky, business has to face. No customers. You can't survive. That minister on there, I'll pray for him because he's like, we're gonna demolish it and rebuild. Yeah. No, you're not. That's a bold-faced lie. Because the same thing preventing you and why it got into that deteriorating condition is the same thing that's going to prevent you from rebuilding it. You kidding me? You didn't have money to upkeep it before, but now you're going to have money to do a demolition and a full rebuild? Well, you know, I don't want to say on the church radio that miracles like that don't happen. So we'll see.
Okay.
All right. And then the other thing too is, I watch a lot of reality TV when I'm doing work and stuff, just mindless stuff in the background. There's one of these shows, Love and Hip Hop Atlanta or something like that, and there is a genius of a guy, a rapper called Young Scrappy, and Young Scrappy was having an argument with his baby mama.
Okay.
And his baby mama called him all sorts of, you a lie. He said, I ain't no lie. I swear on the Bible right now. And then the boy proceeded to pull out his phone and pull up a Bible app.
Wow.
So I just want to tell y'all that the traditional stuff is out the window. You dig?
Yeah. No,
it's out the window.
You bring a very good point, because when you talked about some of the staples, and we've had a nostalgic show here in the past, and we talked about some of the things that we grew up with, and no longer here, the Woolworths and the Bradleys and the Zayres, those type of things were staples. And you're right, but that was kind of fashion, kind of dictated that. But even amongst all of that, churches still remained, right? And you're right, and now I think with COVID, it revealed as well is that people could tune into their churches without the offering as well, because they didn't, if you're there and they pass the plate, even if you're a guest, you feel obligated to put something in the pot. But people are now, as you said with that young man there, he was able to do it on his app. So, but I wonder if people are still getting that same message on their app. It doesn't have the same feeling.
Well, based on my church, what we see as we do our annual assessment of the budget, we do see a large contribution coming in from the online community.
Okay.
So when we have people coming in through Zoom and through Facebook, where we usually have it, we have a large part of that contribution. When we ask for an offering, we have them go. We have our website. It's go to him.
Okay.
It's a website. We go to him, and you can use the PayPal. So we were trying to do what Jamal is talking about, where you kind of you want to keep up with the times, keep up with the technology.
Right.
Luckily, our pastor side job is software engineering.
So
he knows exactly how to do it.
As you say, he know where to go get the goat.
Yeah, exactly. He put it where the goat can get it.
There you go. Jamal, stand by. I want to bring this other caller into the conversation real quick. Good morning, caller. Welcome to the roundtable.
Good morning, Larry, Hobb, and Dr. Bradley.
Good morning. Good morning.
The thing about the dying church is, there are many aspects to it. And the thing is like the church is not also kept up with its functionality and its community outreach. Because when I went to church in Boston, it was different than going to church in New York. In New York, not only did they have they broadcast their service online. They had community outreach. They had the kitchen. They had the food pantry. They had the health services. They had the financial services. Like they even had classes for people to learn how to buy houses, how to manage their money. They had karate classes. So like in New York, the church was way, way more involved in getting the people to come back. Like every day of the week, there was something for you to do at that church. It wasn't just on Sunday and Wednesday Bible study.
Right.
And then and then also I want to mention the fact that you mentioned my sister is in Haiti, but she still goes and contributes to the church that she likes in New York. The First Corinthian church. It's like the churches have to also work to keep up.
Right.
And one other thing I'd like to also mention is that a lot of churches, like back then in the to rehabilitate their neighborhoods, they would make their own credit unions, so that way they could do loans with people within the own member of their church, so they can have home ownership. And one other thing too, in New York, like some of the churches, when they were approached, what they did was like, you have to build affordable housing for our members, and you can have condos or whatever for millionaires, but we need 100 or 80 units that are for our members, our old members or whatever. So they did not just go with, we're selling the property. Like they made a deal that the property had to have, the church was still there, the property was still there, housing for their members, and they can, like, on top of it, the millionaires could live on top of it.
All right. So that one other thing is now 5, just for keeping count.
Okay, I'm sorry.
He must be a pastor, man.
He's a financial guy, so he's sticking in one other thing for 5. But no, you're right. But I think there's also certain religions that are more spiritual, and I find that honestly, because when he said about his sister in Haiti, that I think when you're in places like that and dire, people are more religious, right? They find because they're hoping and praying for their situation to get better, and sometimes we take it for granted in places where it's more prosperous. But I don't think, and correct me if I'm wrong, folks, that it's just germane to the black churches, because the scandal.
No, you're absolutely right.
The scandal for the Catholic Church, I'm seeing a lot of their properties have been sold off, and there's a huge decline when all the truth came out about the pastors, the priests molesting children and such. So
what about the black church?
No, absolutely. They're not. They don't have a monopoly on it. But I'm saying is that because those were the Catholic Church, because you go back to the Pope and all that, so it had this huge notoriety and broadly, right? In all,
it's an umbrella corporation,
right? Exactly.
Yeah.
And they were trying to protect that at this, at the expense of young people who were being molested by the church, and that payout it turned a lot of people off. So I'm saying is that you're seeing the closing there for maybe a different reason than some of the black churches. But you're right, no, they're not above scandal. And I can personally is one of the reasons why I stopped going to the church that I used to go to when I was younger. Wasn't about the scandal of that magnitude, but it was a piggy bank for my pastor, and I felt like I wasn't going to support his lifestyle when I'm supposed to be giving for the building fund and for the food, and then all of that gets rerouted to his Cadillac and his CD fund.
That's a lot of experiences with a lot of the black churches.
Well, unfortunately, a lot of people are church hurt because of that. And I have gone through that. But I think one of the things that we have to keep in mind when we go to church, that we're serving God, not man, and man is doomed to make a mistake.
Correct.
All right, so that's one piece. That's one piece. The other piece is, I think was that Brother Rose who was just speaking?
Yes.
The very loquacious one, the one that actually is going on. But anyway. He brings a very good point, because I think the church could be the entity in the community that really be the focal point of community change. Oftentimes we're looking to government, which we should. But I think there's an ongoing battle in America that's been going on since this place started, and that battle is between Reconstruction America to make it a multicultural society, and redemptions of America to make it back to white supremacy like it was back in slavery. And that's going at the government level. But I think the church can replace a lot, services that the government should be providing, like the housing, the education. We have to stop allowing other people to educate us, and the only way we can do it is through the church. But unfortunately, the church doesn't have the attendance.
A part of that came with the upbringing, like I said, because my mom was in the church, so we had no choice. We went to church.
I hear you.
That was, that was part of it. That is not really happening. So there's a generation gap where that's not.
I think it's multiple generations.
It is, and it's finally caught up. And Rose, we have a new name for you. We're gonna call you Pierre Rose, aka Columbo. And you know why? Because Columbo would always say, just one more thing. Just one more thing. Jamal, you wanted to say something there. Go ahead, brother.
Yeah, so like everything else in life, it's varying degrees. So I'm a big critic of the black church in general. But to the Catholic point, there is no umbrella corporation. So, First Baptist Church ain't got no affiliation to Second Baptist Church. You know what I mean? All the, some of the AMEs or some of the Baptists might be under a certain convention or whatever, but there is no one entity that is, quote unquote, what we call it, the black church, right? There's no one entity. So that makes it difficult to actually pin the tail exactly on the donkey, right? There are good pastors like Pastor Bruce Wall, who, even though he used to make jokes about having a helicopter and whatnot, he does not, right? And then there are the ones, Richard Pryor, who made that famous in Car Wash and whatnot, playing off of the Big Daddy Grace and those type of people. And we've had all of our mega evangelists and whatnot. And then we see it on a microcosmic level. So down to our local level, right? You have churches that do well. Yes, many of our churches do have daycares and summer camps and food pantries and all sorts of stuff like that. Over there at Charles Street AME for a long time, they had a very famous, I wonder if it's still going on, music program, teaching kids violin and stuff like that. You know, so there are many churches that do things, as you noted, radio station, basement of the church, right? But then there are others. And I remember when I first tried to tackle the issue of sexual abuse in the black church, I walked from Mattapan Square to Dudley. And I took a survey and left for letters for each of them. And by my count, there were 57 churches from Mattapan Square down to Dudley. I got all their addresses. I sent off 57 letters about how we could work together to set up some protocols to protect kids in our community. Gentlemen asked me how many people wrote back or responded or called or anything.
0.
Yeah.
0.
But Jamal, you made a very good point when you talked about it's not just churches, because, you know, it made me just think, you know, MAMLEO just had its regional conference, MAMLEO, the police conference, where all law enforcement on the Northeast kind of get together. And normally these things, I mean, would be an overflow of folks there, right? And I attended and I did a workshop last week. And normally at the hotel, when they put the petition up in the room, that tells you that they're only using a quarter of the space, right? And so you don't need, that whole place will be full. The petition was up and there was still quite a few tables. I don't think there were maybe 40 people who had come from all of the Northeast. And when you're talking about the number of police agencies that would be in view, in sight of that, I looked out and said, we're in trouble. We're in trouble.
No open bar this year?
No open bar.
That's why.
Yeah. I thought he was going to say no donuts, but no open bar.
No open bar.
That's why. Before you go, hey, Rose, this is
one other thing I wanted to ask you about. The fellow that Leslie worked with, Dr. Murchison.
Columbo, huh?
That I might have turned the tape on before I went into the law.
Yeah. But
So we had a very small. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
We had a very small attendance to the NAPLO.
Yes, it was.
Wow.
Yeah.
I remember those things being a party, man.
Yeah.
That was really.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The national one was
yeah.
something you looked forward to. Not anymore. Not anymore. Yeah. It's not.
And it's the same thing y'all face with the police force in general, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of folks are retiring, aging out, right? And or, rest in peace, passing away, right? And it's the same thing in the church. The church was built on a whole bunch of them little blue-haired old ladies, right? And they dying off.
Did he say blue-haired old ladies?
He did.
Yeah.
You see, I didn't touch it.
And you know exactly what I'm talking about.
with the hats, Jamal.
You know it. And
there's no filter. There's no filter. There's no filter.
Boy, you better hold your mama.
There's no filter. There's no filter.
No, my mother's a hairdresser. She's platinum blonde, baby. She's platinum blonde.
Pastor Hobbs had some cut.
I mean, the truth of the matter is, really, all jokes aside, the truth of the matter is the church is not confined to a building, right? It's not an organization. Right. It's about an organism. It's about relationship.
Yes.
And the truth of the matter is, Bible prophecy is coming to fulfillment.
Yes, ma'am.
Right?
Yes, sir.
Talks about wars and rumors of wars.
Yes,
we see what's going on in Israel, right?
Yeah.
We see the violence that is pervasive, right?
Amen.
The truth of the matter is, this is, if you read the word, it will tell you this is forthcoming, right?
Amen.
We see when things happen like September 11th, right? People run to the church.
Right.
And then there's an exodus when everything's good, right? So there's a reckoning coming to America. We're not exempt.
Yeah.
So the truth of the matter is that it's beyond programs, it's beyond entertainment, it's beyond buildings, it's about relationship, right? So the truth of the matter is that this is in the basement of a church, and I love this station because it's biblically grounded, but community based.
Absolutely.
Right. So the truth of the matter is, we've all sinned and fallen short of the glory of God, but by His mercy that we all are not consumed. So none of us are the judge. Christ is the only one who's perfect. So we point people to a perfect God. And I'm going to tell you, as things get worse, people are going to be desperate for authentic relationship with God. That's the true church.
You can tell that brother's in church.
I'm just trying to say.
No, absolutely. But I mean, like last week, you attended, the Boston Police MAMLEO. We had our Faith in Blue event, and even that, we didn't see the response that we would normally see. Because I want to throw this out there to you folks. Remember the 10-point coalition, and I attended a meeting recently, and I was just wanted to see. I don't think there were 9 clergy. They
merged. They merged. The 10-point coalition and the BMA merged.
Yes.
They merged. So 2 organizations together and got less than ever.
No, I mean, they were like, can you take, they had food there, and they were like, it was just heartbreaking to see, like, okay, this is what we could gather to go out and try to deal with the violence, or working in collaboration that they were, and a lot of these were clergy that I had never seen before. And what was interesting is I did not see some of the box names, of the clergy, some of these big, mega churches. I don't know if they're part of it, but I didn't see them in attendance. These were kind of like the ones who had the storefronts, who were hopefully to build up and wanted to be seen. But it was very telling.
Church in Mattapan there, what's that church?
Morning Star and
the other one over by
Jubilee.
No, I didn't.
And now let me ask y'all this, because being an artist, when I was producing, hip hop and putting stuff out there, or Hobbs, just like your brother-in-law and like y'all's opening song, we can all agree, Old Boy is dope, right? His lyrics, the man can sing, he can rap and all that, right? So why isn't he more famous than Lil Wayne? And this is the same thing that happens with the churches. Yeah. So the little church, the little engine that could, with the real honest, true believer preacher who's really got his heart in it for the Lord and really trying to serve people and has a few dedicated folks, that church don't get the love or the big bucks or as the big fancy mega church. And it's like you trying to have a variety store next to Walmart. Yes. It ain't gonna work.
No, you're right.
And then what is it about the fact that these big churches? What is the flash? Is it just simply the personality and the charismaticness of the particular leader? That why does one church have 15 people and another church has 8,000 in several locations and looks like a Walmart?
Right, those are the ones you see on Sunday mornings, right? What's his name there? The black guy there. I can't even watch it because they remind me of the back in the day when you had the Reverend Al's and all those send me money and this fake holy water.
Fred Price?
Bishop Jacob there? You talking about
TD Jakes. But Reverend Ike and Reverend Ike, all of those folks back then, that mail would come every day.
But low dollar.
Yeah.
But I asked a question to myself, especially when Jamal was speaking about comparing Lil Wayne to my brother here, who does a very good job with our opening. Who's backing these churches? See, a lot of times, the money behind these churches are not coming from our community.
Right.
It's coming from someone outside of our community, and the churches like these mega churches have other agendas, and
making money.
And those agendas are not what's best for our community.
No, they don't even go into the community. Speaking of, and I don't want to get off topic, but Jamal, I was asking Pastor Hobbs and Dr. Bradley when I came in. Did you see that video that was just, someone called me last night, a clergy member was very irate, very upset. There was a video that he said a very high profile, looked like was spent a lot of money and producing it down at Mass and Cass, a hip hop video that included the folks down there, almost kind of glamorizing this in the video.
No, I haven't seen that one. I've seen previous ones down Dudley. I haven't seen that one though. No.
Dudley? Oh, gonna get the calls over
Nubian, before Brother Siddiqui calls in.
Yeah, as I said, Nubian. Yeah, they were very. I said, "Wow, have you seen this?" I said, "No, I have not seen this." So I'm gonna try to find it. But he said, it was basically profiling what was going on down there, and they said it was very good quality. High def, very good quality video, and folks are making money off of that. But no, back to the church. So. Is it just, as you alluded to earlier, Jamal, just dying off like other things that have been kind of traditions?
I think so. Like, look, grandmama was in church, heavy. Grandbabies is not. And it's just as the generation goes, I think it's almost like, look. Remember, my grandmama and I know y'all's had all these same things. Remember all them little Reader's Digest things that used to come in the little volumes?
Yeah.
Okay, y'all
TV
remember
Guide.
encyclopedias, TV Guide? You remember Agatha Christie and all this type of stuff? Okay,
Dr. Brown
all
still
that
has
stuff's gone.
a centerfold boat.
And all this stuff is gone. Why?
Ebony.
Because people don't read no more.
Right.
See, so even things like Ebony and Jet can't make a buck no more. Right?
Yeah.
These things that used to be a staple.
Yeah.
Right? But people just don't read no more. These things go the way of the dinosaur. And so right now, I'm telling you, church, look, these genius minds, like the rapper kid I mentioned before, he's just like, I don't need to go to church. I pull it up on the app.
Wow.
And I'll be my own pastor. I know me better. Me and God, we got our own relationship.
Yeah. So Rhodes, let me ask you, because like you mentioned Haiti, like I said, countries that I find that are not doing well. Is religion still a big part? Are people still go to church in Haiti more so than people here in the States?
More so than here, but again, there's a big drop off as well, where people are like they're not because their church is not satisfying everything.
So the generation, as Jamal alluded to, there's a generation gap.
Rhodes, is Haiti more Catholic or Christian?
Good question.
Like
Catholic is Christianity. So yes,
no, but you know what I mean. But you know what I mean.
Yeah,
because I know. Let me just set it up, because I know, Jamal. Like I said, you see in the Caribbean, like when we're in the DR, it's more Catholic. People, their faith is Catholic. Like here, you have in black churches is a whole different thing, and folks come here that look like you, but they have that more of the Catholic Christian religion, a Catholic religion, I should say, than
as opposed to Protestant.
I should chime in because. And I'm really curious to hear Rhodes' response to this, because while a lot may embrace and profess Catholicism as their religion, they also, many of them, practice privately, culturally, voodoo. And I'm just
some of them do, and it's not. Again, it's I guess I don't know how much of a sector, if it's small or big. But also, like, a funny thing that I find, a nuance that I find is a lot of them that are here, although you do have them that have the Catholic faith, a lot of them are non-Catholic, but they're Christians, like they're Baptists, they're Seventh-day Evangelists, they're Protestants. So there's a very diverse Christian-based faith of Haitians.
That's what I was trying to ask, right?
But what they said, when we were addressing HIV and AIDS, right? This is when it was a death sentence some time ago, and we were really having real authentic conversations about relationship with God, vice religion across the spectrum. What we found culturally, that people actually, when they felt safe enough to disclose that, many were mixing culturally voodoo. That's, and so when you have that mix of things, right, then there's things that people do that's acceptable culturally, so that's what they might say, whatever that denomination might be. But if it's mixed with cultural practices that you keep privately, then it's kind of that's something that's going to have a different outcome because of the mixture.
So what about what Jamal said earlier? He said about in a lot of, there's a district in the black church, like a lot of things that have taken place, and it just gets hot hidden, or people get moved around. It's no different. Yeah. How much of an effect do you guys think that has had on churches too? Because
tremendous.
Tremendous. I know plenty of scandals.
The hypocrisy.
Listen, the Bible says it this way: sin is a reproach to any nation, right? So that's the bottom line, and that's the thing of the truth. Jamal often talks about this, this ideal of this unification. That's not going to happen. There's a separation, right?
There you go.
And so the truth of the matter is, God is.
Tell them about the wheat and the chaff.
I was just getting ready to go talk about it, but you already we're on the same page. He'll separate the wheat from the chair, right? They grow together, right? And that's the problem. We're trying to decipher it, and we can't. Our job is to make sure that we are doing everything that we can to be righteous in our relationship with God. And our mercy. Micah 6:8 says, what does God require of us? To do justice, love mercy, and walk humbly with our God.
Can I get an amen?
I hope so. It's the truth.
I'm saying, no, this has been a very spiritual conversation because Pastor Hobbs away, but I mean, this morning this has got his attention because it's something that you can tell the passion in him when it comes to this subject matter, right?
Yeah, but see, look at the upbringing though.
That's why I love this.
There's a lot of God in
your
the
dad,
upbringing.
God rest his soul,
that's where I'm going. There's a lot of God in my upbringing,
right?
So I have the same passion. Unfortunately, that passion is not out there among the youth who are coming up, and they're going to the application Bible as opposed to the paper Bible. They're going to the Zoom as opposed to attending the church. So it's a whole different.
You say about the Bible, I have to check the next time I'm at a hotel. Do they still have a Bible? You should go to the hotel.
I think the Gideons is dead. I think the Gideons is dead. All the Gideons are gone.
That's a very good question, actually. I haven't.
That was kind of institution.
The hotels that I attend, that I use, they tend to have Bibles. In the drawer, in the desk drawer. However,
I heard if you go to Utah, it's a Book of Mormon.
Yeah. So yes, it is. So, but there are. I have been in places where that is no longer the practice.
Well, those places have been shut down too, Dr. Bradley.
Okay.
You walk right into
together.
I think it was our vice squad that.
All right, vice squad got that one up. But no. I wasn't in. I'm leaving that alone.
Look at him blushing over there. You want to tell us more? Tell us more. No, but you're right. But I guess for me it goes back to, like I said, when I would attend church and I would hear the pastor up there, and then I would see what he was doing with the money and stuff, and then I was ostracized for saying this is not right. This is not right. Well, God will take care of him. Well, no, I'm really taking care of him financially. It's not right. So I couldn't wrap my mind around I am giving to him and you're saying it's okay because he'll, when he has his reckoning with God, then I have to have my reckoning with God now, and I can't support
and that's fine. So you leave that, you go to another church.
Right.
That's a person.
Right.
That doesn't, so just as you go to a store and you get discreet, whatever, you don't stop shopping, you don't stop, you have a bad experience, you find another one. That's right.
It is very difficult today to find a church like here.
It's true.
It's very difficult.
Let me ask you this question. When you go to church, who are you going for?
I'm going for God. Okay. But I feel like they say, God is everywhere, right? And I know I'm not just being flipped with that. Is that I can conduct my life in a godly manner, in the way that I conduct myself, but I can't be a hypocrite and go in. And a lot of times, like I would attend this church, but just distance wise, where I live, sometimes because you want to be part of your church. So if you're not close enough where you can participate in the activities every day,
it's making it difficult to do it.
It does.
But on the other side of it is that you're going. What I'm trying to say to you is that church. First of all, church is you. Church is in you. The temple of God is in your heart. It's in you.
Amen. Amen.
So that's the first piece. The second piece is that church is run by man. We just made it clear. Man is not perfect. God is the only perfect. All right. So you're going to see some deficiencies in the man that's up there. I often pray for me. When I'm doing a sermon or when I'm as a man, because I can be. And Paul made it very clear. When he said, "I'm thinking about doing things that I shouldn't be doing." All right. I know I shouldn't do this. I know I shouldn't think like this. I should think like that. But I'm focusing on this. I am a wretched soul. My skin, this flesh that I'm in is so easy to convince to do wrong. All right. And so when Paul, who's one of the most prolific, folks in Scripture, wrote the majority of the New Testament. If he's weak, God help me.
Well, he's a part of the flesh. Well, gentlemen, we got about 2 minutes. I'm gonna give you all 30 seconds. I'm gonna go around. I'm gonna start with you, Rhodes.
Jesus Christ did not go to church. He did not start it. So just remember that. that leads at, just like Pastor Dr. Bradley said, like the church is in your heart. Because Jesus did not come and start a church.
Right. And I'm gonna let Rhodes toss
in regard to your practice of
just one more thing. He couldn't resist.
Rose probably said, "Who is Columbo?"
I bet he's looking it up now. Just one more thing now. Just he should annoy people. They have a whole mantra. Jamal.
First of all, Rhodes, I feel for you being called Columbo by two dudes who look like Kojak.
Black Kojak, huh?
See, Jamal.
Man.
This is why you should get up earlier, bro.
I want to say this. I want to say this though. This should be nice. I want to say a nice thing about Reverend Haynes. So when you talked about the preachers who was living high on the hog off of the people, and there's some folks who are self-made, and then there's others who are church-made, right? Now I'm gonna use Reverend Michael E. Haynes, Reverend Dr. Michael E. Haynes, and he and I did not agree on a lot of things, and I'm critical of him. But in this thing, let me tell you, when people saw him in those suits that he had, many of which I believe Hobbs inherited, but when he had those suits, and he had that Jaguar. People could make that assumption about, he one of them preachers in them suits in the Jaguar, right? But he, in fact, was gainfully employed and earned that the hard way by going to a job and making his own money. So some of these people, you can't begrudge them for having their own station in life. But yes, then we have the